Hello everyone, my name is Snowball and this is going to be my marathon submission video for Cassette Beasts Pier of the Unknown. Pier of the Unknown adds a handful of new monsters to the game as well as a whole new area called Brightside Pier with a fun little side story. So I need to evolve my Allseer for this run. I need to make sure that it does not have close encounter because I want the monster Trifinx instead of Kufo. So there's Trifinx. Trifinx is really good for the boss fights in this DLC story. For a reason that I will get into once we get to the first one. So I'm gonna give a quick countdown and then we are going to be off. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to run over to the community center and buy a few upgrades for the fusion meter. So this run I am starting from a save file that has already completed enough of the main story to unlock this this rowing boat to show up. You have to defeat 4 archangels and then get the cutscene with Aleph in the middle of the town. After that you will get a little prompt from the owner of the cafe talking about the rowing boat, and then the rowing boat will take you to Brightside Pier. So the way this is going to work, this run is actually a lot of overworld movement, which I think is pretty cool. But this is Gwen. She's a clown. She tells us that there are 3 different attractions on the pier, and each one has an infernal engine that has sort of lost control, and she wants us to deal with that. So we can't get into any of the attractions though without getting passes to there we go. Without getting passes to open each attraction, and each pass costs 4 prize tickets. So I'm just pretty much running around. I need to go up here to grab 4. I'm just running around to grab 4 prize tickets in the easiest, most accessible spots. Going to talk to Magic Crab to open up the warp point. Because I will need to go back to the cafe at various points. So we're going to start with the green pass and go into the first attraction, the Witch House. So this is probably the hardest area of the run in terms of the movement. The movement is brutal. Especially in the second, third or half. I'm not sure how to really splice up Witch House, but once we get to the library, that's when the difficulty really starts ramping up in terms of the movement. So we're gonna go left to hit that switch and open up this chest, because this chest has an item that we need to complete it. This room is technically optional for any percenting the DLC, because the only thing that's really in that room is that chest that has a prize ticket. Each attraction has 4 prize tickets in it, so we will be running around grabbing as many of the prize tickets as we can in each attraction to get the pass for the next attraction. We need that ruby gem eye from the chest that we opened up behind the bookcase. Now we have a forced fight. We have to take out 2 little reds and a scarlet teeth. So going to just pretty much start by trying to deal with the little reds. And then I might... No, I'm going to take out one, and then I'm going to be using the big attack that Trifinx has that costs 4 energy, Wonderful 7. So you start each turn with 2 energy points. And then at the start of each turn you gain 2 more. So Wonderful 7 costs 4 energy points to use. It is very, very strong. It is a base power 90 move that will inflict a random status condition. So mixed with Trifinx having pretty beefy offensive stats, that makes Trifinx a super, super strong monster. Now that we've defeated those monsters, we can hit that button to get rid of all these spikes. Then we need to go in here. Optimal movement through this is super hard because these walls are really annoying. But that chest has the library key that we need in order to get into the library. And the library has the green engine key, which we need to access the boss of the witch house. So now we're going to be going on to, honestly, probably the hardest part of the run, which is the library. So far I've gotten really lucky with monster spawns. Not really coming after me. I thought I was going to get like a stickier landing. Okay, that was really good past that part. There's one more part coming up that's really tough. It's a similar sort of combo of 2 books, except the second one flips a little bit higher when it like flips around. Then we have to go and jump up here, and there we go. That was actually a really good library. So now we've got the green engine key. Now we can access the first boss. So I am going to real quick heal. And I am also going to switch Cat 5 out for Ramtasm and switch Trifinx into the second slot, and there's a reason for this. So I have 3 copies of an item, I think it's called Ice Latte, we're about to find out if I'm wrong or not, and pretty much canned Ice Latte. So that, it's action points, not energy points. Anyway, the latte gives you 2 additional action points, so I'm going to pretty much just be using those immediately on Trifinx, so that way I can spam Wonderful 7 and hopefully get as much chip damage building as I can. I got the poison off the first one, which is really, really good. And my fusion meter is very, very close to filling up. The fusion, once that fills, then I will be able to fuse my 2 monsters into a bigger, stronger monster that will gain 4 action points at the start of each turn, instead of the usual 2, which means I will be able to just constantly spam Wonderful 7. But now I have to play it a little bit slower. I did get sleep off of the last Wonderful 7, which is pretty good. I would have preferred probably Leeched, because Leech deals chip damage and heals. Either that or more poison or more burn. Not getting the greatest RNG on this fight. I am going to use an elemental wall in front of Trifinx. Now, I could choose to fuse here because my fusion meter is full, but I'm going to opt not to do that because Pearl has such low HP, and there's leeched, so... And Gear Shear just straight up missed. That was really, really lucky. And then it's going to self-destruct, and that is going to be the fight. So really, really good Witch House. I am very pleasantly surprised with how well the library section went, because that is a really, really tough section movement-wise. And now Gwen is going to show up and thank us for taking care of that engine, and also she just kind of walked right through Meredith. I'm sure that's fine. Now I'm going to actually take a slight detour. I am going to... Wrong button. I am going to go up on top of the Witch House to hit that button. Going to come down to Gwen. Grab the pink attraction pass. Open that chest to get a prize ticket, and there's a reason for that. And then I'm going to rush back to the cafe to heal and to restock on items. So the reason why I decided to go up there to grab that prize ticket is I mentioned that each pass costs 4 tickets, and that each attraction has 4 tickets. So you might be wondering, Snowball, why did you go out of your way for an extra prize ticket? And that is because there's actually a spot of this attraction right here where this attraction is split into effectively 4 wings, each one having kind of like a Mario Sunshine / Galaxy bit of level design going on. And you can jump from the top right, the end of the top right, sort of like wing of the attraction, all the way down to the end of the bottom right, skipping an entire quarter of this that has some pretty difficult movement in it, but you end up skipping one of the chests that has a prize ticket. So I need to make sure that I end up grabbing that extra one that is on top of, or that's accessed by that button on top of the Witch House. Now I'm going to skip the first little portion of this one, which is good because I'm going to have to backtrack a little bit for that chest that was back there, because I need this electro block. So the blue buttons can only be activated if you drop an electro block on top of them. And that's how you open up the chest that is right down here. Fortunately, that lines up very, very nicely. Oh, that was maybe a little bit greedy, but it worked out, which is nice, and I just completely fell. Ignore that. Nice. The Charlequin monsters in the overworld tend to be fairly aggressive in terms, and I accidentally bumped into the Alphalus trying to avoid the Charlequin, which is perfectly fine. So seeing as few Charlequins as possible is, of course, ideal. But sometimes they just start spawning and start aggroing you like mad. Fortunately, I've actually gotten pretty lucky so far with monster spawns. And I haven't really needed to worry about them too much. So now I'm going to hit that button, fly up here to this lever, and this is where the gliding movement starts to get really, really cool. Getting this with this much energy is really tough. Yeah, okay. Wanted to give that a couple tries. It's incredibly tight, but you can glide from the corner of the lever platform all the way down. And it's tough. It's tough, but it's really satisfying when you get it. And now I'm going to just skip the entirety of the last quarter by going back up to that platform and gliding down. And now we are going on into the second boss fight of the pier. This one, I don't remember what this engine's called. I think the third one, okay, this one's Rose. I think the third one is named Raven. So I'm going to just fuse right off the rip here. And just spam Wonderful 7. This boss fight is probably going to be in marathons a really, really good time to throw it over to the host for any messages, because it's literally just fuse right from the get-go and spam Wonderful 7 the entire time. One thing I will mention about this fight is Rose by default is a glitter type, and the way the glitter type works is really unique. It's not super effective against any other type, and nothing is super effective against it. But when a glitter type monster receives damage from any non-glitter type move, they get the coating status effect on them, changing their type to the type of the coating for 3 turns. So since Wonderful 7 is an astral type move, Rose receives the astral coating for 3 turns. That was really good RNG on that fight, getting a double poison stack and leeched. That went by nice and quick. Now Gwen is going to show up again. And then she's going to leave. And then we are going to leave. I'm going to crash right into a Charloquin. And then, since Fun World is right next to Magic Crab, I'm going to just dash over there, go back to the cafe, and heal up one more time. So the next fight is going to be very, very RNG dependent, as I won't be able to fuse for it. I normally actually don't fuse during the Rose fight, but the RNG that I got was so good on, can't remember the name of the first engine, but the first engine boss fight, the RNG on Wonderful 7 was so good that I didn't actually need to fuse. I was just burning through its HP so quickly that I was able to go into the Rose fight with a full meter. So there's actually an advantage to this next fight dragging on a little bit, and that is going to be building my meter for the final fight of the run. But now we're into Cosmic Zone. Cosmic Zone has the gimmick of the going dark effect and these light up platforms appearing and giving us more space to walk on. Let's not fall off the stairs. I need to come over here, hit that, and grab the lunar key. So there are 3 keys that we need throughout Cosmic Zone: the lunar key, the solar key, and the red engine key. And now we're going to do the one instance of my favorite type of Cassette Beasts speed tech, the Electro Block flying. So the reason why that works is when you use the electromagnetism ability, those blocks are magnetized toward in the direction that you are compared to their position. I think I just did a really bad job of explaining that, but you know, the gist is there. So since the blocks will always try to move towards you, if you are standing on top of one of those blocks, it will move upwards. And there's no real cap to this, so you can just effectively fly, and it's really, really cool. And I went the wrong way, that's fine. Only loses a couple seconds. Now we have the solar key. But the electromagnetism block gets used for a much flashier usage in any percent, at least back when I ran it a lot. I'm assuming that it still is the case because of just how trivial it makes accessing one of the bosses. But you can use that block to actually scale the huge mountain in the main part of the game, and there is one of the train stations that has an archangel in it at the very top of the mountain, and you can just skip literally the entirety of the mountain and go straight to that boss. That is not the direction I was expecting that monster to move. That was unfortunate. Fortunately, pretty much everything on the pier at the level with the level scaling settings that I'm playing on, I have a 100% flee rate on pretty much every fight. Now we're going to do a bit of trickery here with the pumpkin vine ball to climb up that wall instead of going all the way over to the right and then all the way back over to the left. It's slow, and we're speedrunners, we want to go fast. So now we've got the red engine key, which means pretty much there are just 2 boss fights left, and then the end of the run. Let's fine ball that. 2 Charloquins right at the door is really unfortunate because Charloquins love to aggro like nobody's business. I cannot believe I was able to get around that. That is wild. Alright, and here we go. Now we've got the engine Raven. Raven is an astral type, meaning this fight is going to get kind of wonky very quickly because astral hitting astral, not necessarily something that you want to have to do because then it gets AP boost. So it gets 3 AP at the start of a turn instead of 2. But, I mean, it's gonna just start tacking on AP to Trifinx, which is very beneficial because now next turn, instead of using one of the lattes, I can have Ramtasm put up a wall in front of Trifinx, so that way just things are going better. I am probably going to use an astral wall on Ramtasm because Gear Shear is going to be coming up, and Gear Shear is a very, very powerful move that I would prefer not to get hit by. So let's just do that, and I'm going to actually heal Trifinx on Trifinx's turn just to play it a little bit safe. Alright, it's a good thing that I used that wall on Ramtasm because that's where Gear Shear was pointed. Now I'm going to actually use Galactic Beatdown just to tack on a little bit more damage. This fight due to not being able to fuse for it because of wanting as close to a fusion as possible for the next boss fight. This makes this fight very, very RNG based because you need to be getting leeched, you need to be getting burned, you need to be getting poisoned. And so far, not getting too much of that. Got confusion and sleep, which are useful, but could be a lot more useful. I do still have one latte, which I probably will be pulling out before long. Yeah, I'm gonna, like, not really be able to do the whole fusion thing, which is fine. I might have a workaround. We're gonna find out. I don't know how much wheat I have, but I might be able to get a Parafusilli, which is an item that automatically fills your fusion meter, but I'm not. It costs 1,000 wheat, and I don't know if I'm going to have enough. That was a really good Raven. That RNG was very, very favorable. It still could have been a little bit better if one of the confusions was like a burn, but that was still amazing RNG. And this time Gwen doesn't show up, which is kind of interesting, isn't it? Now we're going to walk out the door, go back to Magic Crab, go back to the cafe, rest up to heal, and then see how I'm doing on the amount of wheat that I have. I can get a Parafusilli, which is massive. So I'm going to just use that now to fill my fusion meter. Warp back to the pier. Dash over here. And now we find out that Gwen is an archangel. And that she created the infernal engines out of humans. So that's not good. So now we've got to go stop her. And this is the final boss of the run. Time will not be immediately after the fight is over with. There's a few text boxes afterwards, but this is the final fight. So, this also is one of my favorite music tracks in the whole game. Both phases of Gwenevar. Okay, so getting Berserk is actually pretty good against Gwen because that shuts down Be Random. And Be Random is effectively Cassette Beasts' version of Metronome from Pokemon. And there are some moves that Be Random could potentially pull up that would be disastrous. I'm not thrilled about AP Drain because it's not really that big a deal. I've gotten 3 AP Drains in a row, dang. Fortunately, this fusion is really tacking the damage on, which is very nice. Now she is below half HP, so now we're entering the second phase. And now we get to see some water coating on this little fusion. So Confusion is also pretty solid to get. I still would really prefer some of the like chip damage. Or sleep, that works too. The chip damage still would be preferable, but since she is asleep, she cannot use her ultimate move, Topsy-Turvy. Finally got some chip damage with Leeched, so that is good. And this fight is going by very, very quickly, which is nice. Wonderful 7 being a power 90 move really is advantageous, especially given the fact that it can do all sorts of chip damage effects like leeched and burned and poisoned. And that leeched is going to take her out. That was a very good Guinevere, especially given the fact that there was only one instance of chip damage. So now time is going to be after the achievement or the quest ending box pops up. And time. Okay, so that was a massive PB, 29:13. I was not expecting to get a sub 30 this quickly. Yeah. That's what happens when Cosmic Zone, when the Cosmic Zone boss fight doesn't have some of the worst RNG I've ever seen. But yeah, that was my Cassette Beasts Pier of the Unknown. Sort of like any percent, I guess, submission video. This category is so much fun. I really, really, really am glad that I decided to start running it, because this game is so, so cool, and the DLC is honestly one of my favorite DLCs for any game that I've played. But yeah, that's going to be all from me, and I hope to see you all in Marathon soon. Bye!